guys,
I'm Hallie,
and I'm Jamie.
and this is Literal Nonsense.
Hello, everyone. Oh, geez.
It's too early.
Hallie is, don't want to say this already. Yeah, I guess. Hallie's giving me the vibes of this book, so. So this week we read Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is probably the first book we've done that you've read before. So it was your second read, my first read.
Yes.
I've seen this book all over the place. It's been on my TBR since the beginning of time. So I thought it was a great choice. We haven't really done like contemporary yet. I was ready. So do you want to give the synopsis? Just give us the general
Okay.
vibes.
So it's set in Ireland, and
I didn't even know it was set in Ireland. I knew it was like
you didn't know? How'd
I
you
knew
think
it was like UK, you know?
Oh,
Because
God.
they also jump around, like they travel. So maybe I was just like UK. Like I was very aware it was UK vibes.
Okay, well, essentially, it takes place in Ireland, and the beginning part of the book, we're introduced to one of the main characters. His name is Connell, and if you watch the Hulu show, it's Paul Mescal. Woo! And yeah, so basically it starts off they're in what I would assume is like their version of high school.
Yeah.
I think they call it like secondary school or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think high school is like secondary, and then I think like university is college,
Yeah.
right? That sounds correct.
Uni. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. These stupid Americans.
Right. They're like idiots. I also love that we do have some listeners in other countries, and they're gonna be like these fucking
Yeah,
morons.
seriously. LOL. Uh, yeah, so Connell's the main character, the guy. And they're at school, and basically Connell's like in the cool kid crowd, but he's not really like one of those like jockey cool kids. I mean, he plays on the quote unquote football team, even though it's the soccer team. If you are in America and you were confused,
I wasn't confused, but I will say, like, reading it, like, they were like, oh, kicking the ball. I still just was, like, in my head, like, imagining, like, football because I was
oh
just like, I
god,
simply can't.
that's crazy. Yeah, so he kind of hangs out with like the popular kids, and they're all kind of assholes. And we meet this other girl. She's the main character as well. Her name is Marianne, and she's kind of like the outcast of the school. Like she doesn't have any friends. She doesn't really talk to anybody, and like people are just mean to her because she doesn't have any friends. So
She gives, like, tortured artist.
yeah, for
She's
sure.
she's a Tumblr girl,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, but she's not like an artsy person. She's really into like human rights, civil rights, like
Yeah, so I almost imagined her, and I think maybe we'll talk about my little disconnect. I think the way they describe these characters just made them like unlikable for me. Like, I
interesting.
imagined her as like the girl in the classes who like dresses like a cat and meows, you know? Like, she's a fucking weirdo. But like, that's not how she is.
No.
But like, they described her as like ugly and like she doesn't shave her legs and she like has crooked teeth. I'm like, damn, they're really painting a shitty picture of this girl. And she's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could have had all those things and described it as like a vibe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
none of those things are inherently bad at all.
Yeah.
It could be a vibe, but the way that Sally Rooney describes it is like, this girl's a piece of shit because she doesn't like have straight teeth or shave her legs. And I was like,
Okay.
damn.
So this is like the thing about Sally Rooney, especially I feel like it's more normal people. I mean, I've read her other book, Beautiful World, Where Are You, or whatever it's called.
Wow.
This is just like her writing, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost like satirically realistic,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I get what I understand what was being done.
Like she describes things so plainly, but like
Yes, yes.
it's but when you think about it, it's like, yeah, that's real life. Like that is very realistic.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have a lovely chat today. Okay, so continue going on with the story,
Okay,
the
anyways.
premise.
Yeah, so they're in school, and so Connell's mom, so Connell doesn't come from a good family. Um, like a lot of his family is like in prison or something. Like they're like, you know, he comes from a questionable family, but like his mother had him at 16 and she's a house cleaner. So she cleans Marianne's house, and Marianne comes from a really wealthy family. So she lives in like one of the biggest houses in the town they're from, and I think that's another reason why people don't like her is because like she's like rich, but like she doesn't fit the bill of like the rich girl. You know what I
Yeah, she's
mean?
not like the popular lip gloss wearing cutesy girl.
Yeah. So essentially what starts happening is that like Connell starts to like pick his mom up from work, and he ends up like going into Marianne's house, and they start talking or whatever, and then eventually they start hooking up, but it's like a big secret and no one knows, and Connell's afraid of what people will say, so he's like, this is our secret, like you will not tell anyone,
Which is such
because
and again,
which
is that relatable?
is not
Yes.
nice, is not
No.
nice.
But it's very high school boy. 100%.
Yes, and like that's the thing, right? So anyways, so eventually they end up going off to school, university. And because him and Marianne have like this whole relationship that nobody knows about, even though she's not his girlfriend, and all those weird fucking nuances that people like to make up,
Mm-hmm.
they end up going to the same university. So they go to school in Dublin, and when they go to school in Dublin, they're not talking anymore because like something happened. There was like a school dance or something,
He didn't take her. He
and
took the other girl.
yeah, and Connell didn't bring Marianne because he didn't want people to talk about him badly, like for bringing her. So Marianne was like, "Fuck that." So like he would call her, never answered, and then she eventually dropped out of school. Like she stopped going, I guess, because their school's kind of set up differently. Like they just have to take like
Like a
these,
final.
yeah, like their finals, but they don't have to be in school kind of thing. So she took all her finals, but she didn't go to school. So whatever. Connell goes to university and Marian's also there, but the roles have flipped. So now Marian is super popular and she hangs out with all these cool people and she has all these friends, and Connell has no friends. He just talks to like his roommate and like that's it. And so one evening he goes to a party that's being thrown, I think, by like Marian's boyfriend, who's like one of the most popular people in school. And so basically the story goes on. It's like different phases in each of their lives, and they always end up coming back to each other, kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think it's just interesting to see how like their lives kind of reflect each other at different points,
Mm-hmm.
but they always find a way back, but then it never lasts, and they
Yes.
can never get out of like their own way. Like it's very,
Infuriating? Sure.
yes, it's so annoying that they can't just be like, yeah, I want to be with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like that is real life. Like that happens all the time.
Yes, but I argue that people are also idiots. So do I think this is more realistic than the romances we read? Absolutely, right? Like there's no question about it. Um yeah, I'm trying to think where to even fucking start with my thoughts. I have so many. So basically it just like goes and follows them in their life. I would say from like senior of high school until like right out of college. So like
Yeah.
6 years, 5 years
Yeah.
ish. Um
Because the timeline's like in months. So it's like,
5 months later, four
yeah,
months later.
exactly.
And there'll be like dates. Like at the top it was like June, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I definitely agree. I focused more on like the 5 months later. Like I wanted to know how much time was passing more than like the actual month,
Yeah.
like of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I did think, okay, so let's talk about them in high school. So I feel like that was relatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like guys do that, especially if he was one of the guys who's in this popular crowd, but probably almost has like imposter bias or imposter syndrome. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
bias. What? Anyways, all the psychology terms just came in my head at once.
Hey, did
um,
you major in psych?
maybe. um, I feel like he definitely has like imposter syndrome and probably is almost like, oh my God, I'm not cool, but I'm in this crowd somehow. And so if I like make it known that I like this uncool girl, like they're gonna know
Yeah.
that I'm an imposter.
And I'm not cool.
Right. And so I hate him for that. He's a dickhead. Like even his mom is like, you're actually a piece of shit.
Yeah.
um
Because she says, like, oh, like, you're just messing around with her. Like, why do you have to make things so complicated? Obviously, she's your girlfriend. Like, you
right.
guys hang out all the time
Like every
and
day.
whatever. Yeah. And he's like,
Yeah.
no. He's like, leave me alone.
And I also think the nuances they explain are interesting as well. Like he talks about like his sex life, right? And he's like, ugh, I don't like it. I'm like stressed the whole time.
Uh-huh.
But when he's with Marianne, he's like, oh, I really feel like we're connecting. Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling for him. And so I felt like high school, I was like into that part in regards to the fact like that made sense. Like he's kind of stuck between like a rock and a hard place. Um, you know, if that was kind of where the communication disconnect ended, I'd be like, okay, like you're a dick, but like you were 18 and stressed out and you somehow got put in with the cool kids and you were like panicked and you're like, I can't get out of this. Like, I don't want to get kicked out of the cool kids club.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But then these motherfuckers do this shit forever
Yeah. It's
and ever and
crazy.
ever.
It's literally, it breaks my heart every time I read it, truly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it does. But it's, I don't know. Like, I remember the first time I read it and I was like, I fucking hate these people. Like, they're so annoying. Like, why can't they just love each
Mm.
other? But at the same time, I loved it because I was like, it's giving me that, like, that feel that I want from a book. Like, I want to
Okay.
be upset and, like,
Oh,
frustrated. You know what I mean?
interesting. Yeah.
Like, I want to
Okay.
have that knife to the stomach every time I read a
Okay.
book.
So I was trying to like organize my thoughts about like, I guess if I wanted to talk about like the timeline first or like her writing style or how I felt about it, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
we'll just have a mishmash of who fucking knows. Um, I think I had a lot of hang up in her writing style because as you
Interesting.
mentioned, she writes things so plainly. Now, do I
Mm-hmm.
agree that it's like this is how life is? Now perhaps, right? Now I argue the way that I view the world, I romanticize the world. Like
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy living my life that way, right? And so do I necessarily narrate my own life as a romance novel? Not particularly. That's a little bit overboard, but I enjoy descriptions or like the scene or describing the emotions. I think for me it fell flat because that is how I choose to view my life or like how my perception typically like thrives, I guess. And so for her just to be so blunt, so plain, here's what's happening, now they're not going to talk for a year, I'm like, I have no fucking emotional connection to you at all because you two are just blah human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do understand. I feel like I appreciated what she was doing.
Yeah.
It just didn't resonate with me as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I think is kind of, if I could sum it up in like a little bow,
Yeah.
that was my feeling on it. Just because it was just plain.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, is the world sometimes plain and like nothing really happens, but everything's happening simultaneously? Yes. But if I'm reading a book, I don't need more of that shit in my life. You know what I'm
I
saying?
guess, yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, like, I'm all for, like, the beautiful lyrical writing and all that stuff. But I feel
Yes.
like her stories, like, she can write that way. Like,
No,
in
I
that,
agree.
in the way that she writes. Like, I think, and that's what gives it, like, that almost extra punch. Because, like, the
Mm-hmm.
plots themselves are, like, very angsty.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, having it in just, like, plain blunt writing, it's like, holy shit. Like, this, I like it.
Yeah,
I
no,
personally enjoy it.
I didn't dislike it. I think where you and I differ from what it sounds like we're saying is like I liked the book. Um, it gives you an emotional reaction. I don't get an emotional reaction from this type of writing, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was correct when I said last week, oh, I feel like this could be like a John Green, like an adult John Green.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it was, but John Green does like the lyrical, metaphorical, like,
Yeah.
I feel like if she had more of that, I would also be eating it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I really appreciate what she did. Like, oftentimes, we'll talk about these two fucking morons more as the episode goes on. Oftentimes, like, nothing's really happening, but
Yeah.
everything's happening. And,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
also, there's no reason for them not to be together, but then everything keeps them apart. So it's like, I really
Yeah.
respected and appreciated all of, like, the nuance, the relationships, the, like, complexity of it. But I was just like, okay, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, well, so these two fucking fools go to college. Mind you, like you said, they go to the same college. Like, he literally applies where she's going.
Yeah.
But oh god, it's not my girlfriend.
I know, and it's like I think a lot of it is like they just get in their own way,
They
truly.
do, they do. And he even mentions what really struck me. I remember reading this and I was like, bro, you are just fucking the worst. When he was in college, he went back home at one of the college chapters. They go back home for like someone's funeral or whatever. It was like one of
Mhm.
their friends.
Yeah.
And he's talking to one of his other friends and basically like confesses, I was with Marianne in high school. We're kind of like on and off again in college, yada yada. And basically the friend was like, cool. And he reflects on that and he's like, no one would have cared.
Yeah.
And like I was like, of course not. But at the same time, in high school, realistically, people probably would have cared a little bit, just
Mhm.
because people are assholes. And second of all, isn't that so the human condition, right?
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
think that everyone cares so much about us and what we're doing.
Mhm.
And no one gives a fuck. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck about your life and what you're doing.
Well, even when they were in school too, his friends were like, "Oh, like, are you with Marianne?" And he'd be like, "Nah, nah," but like they already knew. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's
And
like,
yeah. And I think it's weird because in high school, especially, right? Do we care about what people do? Yes, we'll gossip, we'll bullshit about it. But then the next time that something else happens, we move on to the next thing. So
mhm.
would he maybe have gotten some shit for like 5 seconds? Sure, I don't deny that
Yeah.
because we love like just gossip or like new information as people.
Mhm.
But it's baseline bullshit information that doesn't affect our lives. And so as
Yeah.
soon as the next new thing happens, again, no one would have cared.
Yeah.
They would have been shocked at first. Oh my God, no way. And then they would have been like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Like whatever.
And that struck me because he really realized that. Um, and I think I don't know if he had regret, but I think he was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm also, the college chapters interest me because I think that he really realizes that she's a better person than him in a lot of ways.
Mhm. Yeah.
She's in the cool kid club now, and she invites him, puts her hand out, and introduces him to everyone.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting, I think, too, that we could talk about is how certain projections that are put on us early in life stick with us. Because I think even though she's in the cool kids club now, and it's probably more impactful because these are adults and you're in college and having real conversations, and like she's thriving in the real world, she always will do whatever he wants because I think she inherently feels like he's still the cool kid.
Mm.
Like he makes a comment like she'll just do whatever I want her to. She will agree to whatever I want.
Yeah, but to me, I took that as like because like she loves him.
She does, but I also think it could be like almost like she just doesn't feel good enough because also her family's fucked up.
Well, yeah, and then that goes on to like the people that she ends up dating and stuff, right? So it's like we learn in the book that like her family like abuses her.
Hmm.
Like her brother is abusive towards her, her dad was abusive towards her, and her like mom just like doesn't care. And then like while they're in school, she starts dating this guy and like they're into like BDSM or some shit like
Bro, she's
that.
be dating all kinds of freaks.
Yeah, like
Marianne's a psycho.
she's dating this guy who's like into BDSM, and she was dating this fucking Swiss guy
Photographer?
or something
Yeah.
who's like a photographer, and like she like goes
He like
slightly
controls her.
like slightly into detail, and it's like he'll say a word and it's like they have to like assume these roles, and like she has to be like very subservient to him, and like it's just like very weird. But then like to me like that's weird, but that I guess like people are into that. But then like also that stems from the fact that I think that like Marion obviously has very low self-worth.
Hmm. Yes.
you know? So it's like, I guess it's easier for her to just, I think it's like a control thing, right? So if like her family is like abusive towards her and she
Yes.
doesn't have control of that, if she chooses a partner who wants to be abusive towards her, like in bed, like at least she's choosing that abuse.
Right. And I argue, honestly, she's completely consenting to all these things, but I argue that she doesn't like it.
No, she
I
doesn't.
think,
I don't think she likes it
and
either.
so that's where I think when you said like, oh, like it's weird maybe to us who don't particularly like those things, but not people who enjoy it. Now, I would argue that for her, it's also weird because she doesn't like it. I think that, like you just said, she's choosing these partners because it's like she can control when the abuse happens.
Yeah.
But I would argue she just has unhealed trauma. Like, I don't
Hmm.
think that she wants to do this
No,
because she doesn't.
I wasn't saying that in terms of her.
Right, right, right. No, no, I
Like I
agree.
think there's like, you know, I'm not trying to offend
Yeah,
anyone out there who may
no,
be into
no.
that. You know what I mean?
No, I'm saying I agree. I think if people really enjoy it, like absolutely, like rock on, like let your flag fly, my friend. But in her case, I think it is a result of unsolved trauma, and for her, like I would argue,
Hmm.
it is still weird for her because she's choosing this just because she's not dealing with her shit at home. Now, people who enjoy this, that's not because of unsolved trauma. Some people just enjoy these things, and it's awesome and good
Yeah.
for you. In her case, I think it's problematic.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think she's
And
choosing bad partners.
yeah, but then that also comes into play. Like one of the last times before they break up again, um, like she asks Connell, she's like, "Oh, like, can you hit me?" And he's like, "No, I don't think I can do that."
He's like, I actually don't want to hit you.
And then she like got up and was like, "Okay, like I need to go home now."
I also would argue partially that I think her attraction to Connell, do I think they're really in love? Yes. But I would also argue that her attraction to Connell is because he mistreated her. Not as drastically as her other partners, but
Mm,
he wasn't nice to her either. It was a form of abuse. Oh, please hide this, that, that.
yeah, more like what's it? Mental, emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
crazy. It's
I
just
was,
crazy.
another part I was particularly frustrated by was they're in college, they're like dating. Like now it's like they're hanging, whatever. They're still kind of like secretive, but all the friends now know. Like they're like, you guys are having sex, right? And like together, and
Hmm.
they're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, but that's the first time they've ever like said yes.
Yeah.
And then he's poor as fuck, we know. And so he has to move home.
Oh, yeah.
And so he goes there and is going to ask her to move in with her for the summer.
Hmm.
And she
Yeah.
would, of course, say yes. And they show the conversation, and it's just like, and I,
Two
okay.
people who don't know how to communicate.
And that being said, I understand and again I respect and I admire that she so eloquently like just wrote
It's
how
so
like a
angsty.
conversation can get away from you and then you're just like,
Yeah,
okay,
no.
well I guess I'm going home.
Hmm.
Like they literally were talking, he's like, oh, I can't pay my rent. And she's like, oh, so you're going home? And he's like, yeah, I guess. Because now he's like, oh, she doesn't want me here. And then he says, yeah, I guess. And she's like, oh shit, he doesn't want to be here. And it's just like, and I get it.
Hmm.
I get it. But
Hmm.
I'm like, can someone just be like, hey, I really would like to be with you. Like, do you think I could stay here? And she'd be like, oh my God, of course, I love you. That would have been it. And based off that, he moves home and they don't talk, they break up, that's it. Like, it's not even like they try to, like they're just both like, they're so frustrated with the other person for the miscommunication that they just stop talking.
I know.
And I'm like, are you too fucking well? Like, I get it. Believe me, miscommunications happen. But I feel like when miscommunications occur in my life, and I'm like, oh, this is becoming a problem, and I'm like, this is not how I wanted this to go, I typically am like, okay, maybe I should clarify. These two
Hmm.
never fucking clarify. Not in years, years
I
and years and
know.
years.
But that's like part of like not the beauty of it, but like the irony, you know? Like
I
that
mean, I guess, but like they never fucking learn. I mean, give me a break, you two.
well, even at the end of the book, right?
Bro, we'll get there because I threw it. I threw it across my room. I was like, I'm actually so sick right now of this.
I forgot that was how the book ended and I was like, fuck.
I'm over it. Let's yeah. So let's get to the end of the well. I mean,
I mean, that's really the book. Like
I was
that's
gonna say that is the book. They just do this for years and years and
yeah.
years. I'm thinking if there's any other particular instances that really like struck me.
Yeah.
Um, I did enjoy. I will say. So again, like we just said, they do this for years of just oh no,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't communicate and off I go, and it's just crazy. It's honestly fucking lunacy. Um, but one part that I enjoyed, or not, maybe not enjoyed is the wrong word. Um, but that sticks out in my head is when they were all in Italy together
Oh yeah, and
and
she
she
has
was
that
like
fight.
hosting.
She has that
Yes.
fight with her boyfriend.
And this is the one that beats her, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why that stuck out to me. Nothing particular happens. Her and her boyfriend have a fight and he kind of comforts her. But I just felt like I
Okay.
remember that part particularly.
Okay, this is another thing that like just like blows my mind. Is like I don't know. I try to think about this in like my head, right? And it's like, okay, say for example, I was dating Connell, right? Like because he has a girlfriend in the book. He
I
gets a
had
like
no. Oh yeah, we should talk about that.
he gets like a long time girlfriend. Well,
And they're fine.
they were together for like 6 months, I think, or like a year.
Maybe
He
yeah.
because they start dating after he moves home
Mm-hmm.
when he can't like stay for the summer anymore. So then he ends up dating her, anyways. So I always think about it like this way, and this is just I guess just like how people view relationships and stuff. But like if I was dating Connell and he had this past with this girl and they're still friends. Honestly, that would rub me the wrong way. And then especially when they're in
Yes.
Italy,
She's not there.
she's not there, but he's there with all her friends
And her.
and her and her boyfriend get into a fight, and he goes in, she storms off into the house, and they start fighting, and Connell goes in and is like, yo, like what's going on here? And the boyfriend like storms out, goes back to the friends, and like him and Marianne like go on the other side of the house where there's like a garden or something. And like at that point, don't they almost kiss?
Probably.
Or
And I
they do
just.
kiss and they're like, oh, we shouldn't do that. Like,
Oh, yeah. And there's like another scene. I don't know if it's the same time when he has the girlfriend or the girlfriend and him are broken up, but they're like about to have sex and they
no,
don't. I think,
he's
no,
with
it
the
is.
girlfriend. He's with the
It's,
girlfriend.
it's this, it's, yes, it's when they're in
Yes.
Italy. They go to bed together. They're in the
Yes.
bed.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. Like, what the fuck is going on? Which, I
Like,
mean, obviously I wouldn't like that. Like, I'm sorry. Emotional cheating, I'm like a big, like, emotional cheating's a thing. It's
yes.
cheating. Like,
Yes.
Um, also like verbal cheating, whatever. So, I argue that this goes way past that. If, well, obviously, if they're married, I would assume this wouldn't be happening. But if fucking my husband was laying in the bed with someone else, but like just denied her sex, I would still be fucking pissed.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Because it's a different type of intimacy at that point, and obviously they're
it's
very
almost,
comfortable with each other.
it's not worse, but it's like, it's bad in a different way.
Yeah. Yes. And it's just like crazy that like all their friends are just, and all their like boyfriends, girlfriends throughout this time is just like, yeah.
It's almost like they just know that, like, okay, well, that's their person.
But I don't know, because she doesn't really write about anything from their perspective. I mean, she does like mention like how Connell's girlfriend like gets frustrated with
Mm-hmm.
him about
Her.
Marianne because like they were out somewhere and she was like, oh, like you didn't want to talk to anyone but her, and like obviously she's
Bro,
jealous.
I would,
And he
okay,
was like,
first
what
of
are you talking
all,
about?
I'm sorry. Like, if there's ever a point, I'm gonna give you guys a pearl of fucking wisdom, okay? If there's ever a point and you're dating someone and like there's like one particular person that like, oh, like she's always a problem, like you guys are arguing over, like, oh, like you're always looking at her, you're always talking to her, I would argue just fucking leave because like weird vibes are going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I also do think it is weird though how like they can both successfully date other people and communicate. They're just like fucking spastic when it comes to each other.
Yeah.
What is going maybe it's because they're both the bad communicators. So I imagine, right, in my head, maybe when they're dating other people and they're just like being their bland fucking selves, their partner has to be the one to be like, "Hey, like I don't know what you meant by that. Like, do you want to move in? Do you not want to move in? Like I don't really get what you're saying." Whereas when it's the two of them together, they both just fucking let the world just knock them around.
But I think it's also important to realize is that not to say that they're at a disadvantage, but like today in today's times, like it's 2024, right? And like
Mm.
all that kind of stuff is like very very in your face, right? Like people are always talking about like proper communication types, people are always talking about relationships, people are
Mm-hmm.
always doing all this stuff, but the book is set in like
2000,
2011,
yeah, 13, yeah, like the, yeah.
12, like like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Instagram was just becoming a thing.
Look, I get it, but like I said, even before proper communication types and us being, super woke as a society, if it's fucking up your life, like, don't you think you just figure it out? I mean,
But I think that's a symptom of both of their upbringings.
yeah, I guess. But like I said, like, it's just crazy to me how it works out for other people. I really think, like, in their relationships, they're both the problem. And so when they try to come together, there's no one
Hmm.
to, like, regulate
I
these
know.
situations.
They're two tortured souls, like truly. It's just
It's just fucking frustrating. Like, stop being tortured. Like, I don't understand. Like, like they love each other. Like, just and I get it. Like, is love always enough? No, but like, there's no inherent problems. They're just fucking stupid.
yeah.
They just can't like get it together. And so, again, like Hallie said, like this is just what happens the whole book. Like, we can give it all the instances of it, but like, it's the
There's
same fucking song and dance.
there's probably like four or five.
At least.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't even know how the book ends as far as like what is going on in their lives. But like the book basically ends, spoiler alert, and they're like, all right, like see you later. And like they just don't know if they're ever gonna talk again. Or like what the fuck I don't even know.
They're not like together, but like he's not with his girlfriend anymore. She's not with that guy.
I can't.
Um
I
like
almost
they're
lost my fucking
but
mind.
they're like seeing each other again.
But like
And like
they're not
when
defining it.
things are like getting to that place again, and then he gets an opportunity to go to
Oh
school in
yes.
America, and he's like, "Oh, like I got accepted into this program." And she was like, "Oh, you're going to go?" And he was like, "Oh, I guess yeah, I guess I am." And she's
Again, not
like,
being like, oh, I would like you to stay, or not being like, oh, I would love to come with you.
"Well," and she's like, "Okay, like I'll be here when you get back."
Bro. Yes,
And
that's
you're like
exactly what
and you're
happened.
like, "No."
I'm actually so over them. I hope they do this forever, and like I hope because I dare I say I hated them. Like I'm just like you two deserve each other actually because you're both fucking stupid.
Yes.
Like say for example, I would almost respect it more if they had a conversation, right? I got accepted into America. I want to be with you. Do you
I
want to
got
come?
accepted in America.
America has accepted me. Um,
Oh god.
I want you to come with me. And she's like, oh, I really can't because I got this job here. And if they had like a back and forth and we're like, listen, like we really both, you need to go to America. I need to be here, but I will be here when you get back. I would be like, you know what? Fine. Because you finally learned like here I am
Well,
correcting the
he
author.
wasn't going to go. He says in the book like I'm not going to go if Marion says like she wants me to stay.
But I also argue that wouldn't be good for him as a person either, like with growth.
No, but at least it would have been something, you know what I mean? Like
All right, so here's me and Hallie writing our books as per usual. I argue I would have actually liked if they had a conversation being like,
yes, we
"Hey,
know, Jamie.
wait, listen.
You want to
I
talk everything out.
yes, I do." But being like, "I want to go. I want you to come." And she's like, "I can't come." Because then I feel like the book would have ended and been like almost more heartbreaking. They finally learn to communicate, right?
Mhm.
But still they're being kept apart and it still ends, I'll be here when you get back, because then it's like you finally feel a kernel of hope in the fact of being like they've learned, they finally can be together. But oh my god, of course when they finally figure out how to communicate and be together, something still keeps them apart, because then I feel like as a reader, when he comes back they're going to be okay.
Mhm.
So Sally Rooney, that's how you should end the book.
Well, so she has a new book that's coming out.
Intermezzo.
Can't wait.
I put it on my okay. Also, caveat to this conversation, I have it on my to be read list for Goodreads. Also, guys, follow us on Goodreads because we're implementing new things on our Instagram with Goodreads, and we OCD obsess over our Goodreads account. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was my little thing, but I have it on my like want to read list for Goodreads, and it has like a giveaway going on right now.
Oh, really?
I entered it, but I will say, like, I'm never gonna win a giveaway. I enter giveaways all the time.
I won one
I know. I remember the
once
shark
from
one.
Goodreads. Yeah, Shark Heart. I still haven't
Yeah.
read that.
Well, I'm so glad that you
Nice.
won the giveaway.
I will read it eventually,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. But yeah, I get frustrated because I always enter and I'm like, well, here I am not winning.
Yeah.
Frustrating. Anyways, but yeah, I don't know, man. Would I be interested in reading another Sally Rooney book? Yes.
I
I
don't
don't
think you would
know.
like Beautiful World, Where Are You? You wouldn't
Okay,
like
love
that
that.
one.
Thank you for the critique. Okay, well, so let's
That's
go
the only
into.
other one that I've read.
Okay,
I
well,
want
let's
to
go
read
into.
Conversation with
Um,
Friends.
maybe we'll read it together. I don't know. Okay, well, let's talk about our review for this book as we're ending this book.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want you to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, I gave it 3 stars. Um, yeah.
Boo, boo.
My reasoning is because I really do just feel like it was just fine. Did I enjoy it? Did I respect what she was doing? As I've mentioned this whole episode, yes. I hated these characters.
I'm
I think
looking
they
at
were
your
annoying.
I'm looking at your review right now.
Well, like I just also mentioned, again, another plug as I'm saying my review, we are putting our reviews and like having a little new feature on our Instagram about like Goodreads and what we rated them and little like blurbs of what we rated them and why, and then also on our story like what we rated them and what you guys rated them. So
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye out for that. We're rolling out new features. Anyways, let me continue with my fucking rant. So
Yes, sorry.
so like just blah. Like I just felt like, again, like when it's a beautiful book and it's just like page turning, page turning, page turning, and like also well written, no plot holes, those are 5 stars for me. So dock to point already for just like I did not particularly like this style of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondary, I hate you too. Like you guys just suck. I gave it
Yeah.
3 stars because arguably and like without personal opinion, it was a good book. It was well written. I like what she did. I get the point of it. You know, we're just normal people. This is what happens in life. Okay, I understand. I respect it. I don't know if I'd reread it.
Mm,
Um, that is my rant. I think it just inherently comes from the fact that I hated them.
that's crazy.
And I didn't view them like maybe this is also fucked up and like I'm shallow, but the way she described them, there was no draw for me. I was like, you're both relatively ugly and you both suck. So, like, you know, like what are we going for here?
That's crazy.
Like she made them unlikable. Like I said, her
But
descriptions,
that's I feel like
I
they're just
like pretty nice people.
they're just I know, but they're just regular people.
I know, but I would
That's the
argue
point.
I understand, but I would argue that I don't want regular people in my life. I want pretty nice people in my life.
But in the book too, it does say that Marianne, like you've always been pretty.
Right, but I
So is
think
she pretty, or are people just hating on her?
no, I agree with what you're saying. And again, they also
That's what I'm
describe
saying. You
like
don't know.
they
You
also
don't know.
describe too in the beginning like that they just say she's not pretty because she doesn't wear makeup and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I just think again with how she came in strong with her descriptions of them, and it was also based on like perception, their descriptions, I
Hmm.
was like, ooh, you guys are giving me icky fucking vibes.
I know, but I almost kind of liked that.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised that you did. I didn't.
Oh
You sound like
god.
a bird, like a seagull. Yeah. All right. So, what was your rating? I would assume this is probably the first book that I liked less than you, like
Yeah.
strongly.
Yeah, so I was just looking back. I first read it in 2021,
Hmm.
December. So I read it during COVID, essentially.
Yeah.
And I gave it 4 stars.
Okay.
And after this read, I would keep it at 4 stars.
Okay. I could see that for us. Why
Yeah.
did you give it 4 stars?
Um, I like her writing style. Like, I like how it's very. I think her writing style works well for the type of stories that she writes.
I would argue that is true.
And, like, but like, if you put her writing style in, like, a romance book, like, that wouldn't go,
Or
you
like
know?
a fantasy. Boo.
Yeah, no. Then I would have a problem. But like because like her stories are so they're not like they're at base level they're like if you're a fucking doorknob and you're reading this book, you'd be like, "Oh, this book is so simplistic." But like the nuances of like the fucking trauma and the fucking conditioning and
Yes.
the social biases and like societal norms, like all that wrapped like is all very much underneath the surface. And I feel like because of how she writes the book, it's really like brought to light.
I don't
because
know if you just called me a doorknob or not.
I That's hilarious. Do you feel like a doorknob? No, I'm kidding.
No, like I said, I think I
I
agree
just
with what
think
you're saying. I see
no,
that, and
but
that's
you
why I
just don't like
respect
that.
it.
You just don't like
Yes.
that in a book,
Yes.
which is fine.
I like all those nuances and the underlying things, just with like a little bit more flair. Like I said, even like a John Green-ish flair, like just
But
a
a
little bit more metaphor and stuff.
little Ric Flair drip go
Yeah.
on a bitch. And I think, but like, I think that's a testament to say like how, like, I think you as a reader, and this might just be because like I know you as a person as well.
Right.
Like if I read a book, I'm like, yeah, that's a book for Jamie. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
Like,
same. I do that with you as well. Like
but
I read this and I was like, Hallie loves this book.
yeah, but I didn't want to tell you like Jamie, you're probably not gonna like this book
No, I appreciate you
because
not saying
I
anything.
didn't want to ruin it for like I didn't want you going into it already being like, you know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
yeah, and I think as readers, right, it's important for us to read books out of our comfort zone, and I think that's the beauty of us being such different people and readers is
Yeah.
we're probably not gonna like the same books always, but I
Mm-hmm.
think as a reader, the fact that I'm able to see like, okay, like her literary skills and like what she's trying to do, I can appreciate it, and it is inherently a good book.
Yeah.
It's just personally not my type of book.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fine. And I think that's like, we should keep an open mind always for all things, right? This
Yeah.
doesn't suit my personality, but it is a good book. I can see why it's popular. I can see the appeal and I see what she was doing,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which I think is
And
why we pick different varieties of books when we, cover things.
yeah, I think the angst is also what really just gets me,
Of
because
course it is.
you're just like watching this dumpster fire of people who just like can't be like, yeah, I love you and I want to be with you. It's crazy.
Right. And I think it especially annoys me as a intensely romantic person that I'm like, guys, like fucking, I mean, like this should be like you did the hardest thing. You love each other.
Yeah.
You both love each other. Like fucking get it together. So yeah, I like I said, but I do appreciate us reading different books. And yes, I completely agree with your point about that. Like I was reading this and I was like, "Oh my god, Hallie just loves this. Like
Yeah.
just loves it." So why didn't you give it 5 stars? Now I'm curious like
Um, I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was like when I rated it, I was like, it's a solid 4 stars.
you just felt that.
Yeah, like I don't know, like a 5 star just wasn't in my thought,
Okay,
and
fair.
I don't know if it's because I don't know. I just that just wasn't a thought to me.
Okay. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really
Um
have like a reason.
okay.
But like
Well we
I think we rate things differently. Like I think you start
yes.
at 5 and you go down.
Mhm.
Like I usually start at 3 and I'll go up or I'll go down.
Mm. Okay. I think like I agree. I do like a 5 and then go down, but also like it's just solely emotion based, right? So say if it's like a 4-star book, like I feel it's a 4-star book
Yeah.
and then something bothered me, I'll take off a star. So like I kind of start at different places, you know?
Mhm.
Like it's just like emotion.
So you're like deducting.
Maybe, but sometimes I do
Like you're
add.
like a deductor.
No, I think I'm almost like I started like a 4-star. I think most books for me are a 4-star. If you
Interesting.
fucking wow me and the plot was good and like fucking Abby Jimenez, I was like, girl, you just
Yeah.
killed it.
Yeah.
5-star.
Yeah.
And also like feeling the emotions, all that stuff. I think because again, most books, if it's a good book, there's not really any plot holes. I felt pretty good reading it. You're like a 4-star book. Like I appreciate it.
Hmm.
Um, I would say I almost started at 4 stars, and then 5 stars I'm now reserving for like
Interesting.
particular books,
I feel like
like
most books for me are 3 star.
like which probably is accurate. Like haunting. I don't fucking know. Adeline, I was like 2.
My
There's rape. Like I gotta.
I think it was haunting.
It is haunt. Yes, it is. Like I've never given a 1 star. If it's 1 star, I'm realistically not finishing it.
Oh, I give some 1 stars for sure.
Wow. So yeah, you probably start at 3. I probably start at 4. That makes sense.
Yeah. But the books that I'm giving 1 stars to is like so like I have like the Barnes and Nobles app, like the Nook app on my phone, but then I
Mm.
also have the um
Goodreads.
no, like actual like book platform. So I have Nook
Oh,
and
oh.
I have Apple Books. And so like if I don't feel like bringing like an actual book with me like somewhere, I'll just like get like a free book off of them because I'm not an e-reader, but like sometimes like like I want to read. Like I rather read than scroll through Instagram, right? So um
In theory, I wish I could say that.
that's hilarious. But most of the books that are on there are like these romances, and a lot of them are like kind of cheesy and corny, but sometimes I'll just read them to hate on them.
Wait, okay, so funny because as I mentioned, we're doing like a whole like Goodreads feature on our Instagram, and I like on our story put like, oh, like I read this year, and like Hallie's read this year, and I went to go screenshot yours, and there was like this like naked cowboy, and I was like, what the fuck? Like I was like,
Yeah.
what? Why is she reading that?
Okay, so I was like really into Yellowstone, like the end of last year to
Oh,
like
I thought you were
be
gonna say the ending because I haven't watched it yet, and I was like, sorry,
oh no, you haven't watched it yet?
no, not yet.
Wow, you're psycho. Like the end of last year to like the beginning of this year, like I was like, oh my god, cowboys, cowboys, cowboys. So when I was gonna get like one of the free books, I was like, oh, sure, like a cowboy one. It was called
Horrible,
The Trouble with Whiskey, and I'm
dead.
like, bro, no.
Was that a 1 star?
Yeah, I think it was.
I
I mean,
literally
like
just
it just
laughed. I just
the
saw the
book.
picture. I was like, girl, and you yell at me for the romances I make you read? I was like, what the fuck,
Yeah, but
Hallie?
I'm not like reading it to like because I like it. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Because
just reading
you're
it because
you're
there's
a
like
psycho. I would argue you're a sociopath.
probably. Yeah, I gave this one star.
Amazing. Okay, I feel better now knowing that because I literally in my head was like, I don't even want to post this on the Instagram showing people that she
Bro,
read this book.
okay, this book was like a 600-page book.
Hallie.
Okay, and I gave it 1 star, and I said honestly felt like I was reading Colleen Hoover. I
Oh
just
my
couldn't.
god.
I
Bye.
skimmed the last half of the book. Totally could have been a good story, but the execution was just not there. I felt like I
Okay.
was reading a transcript between a therapist and a patient the whole time. I
Oh.
get he was a therapist, but like, come on, this is just too much. Way too
Hallie's
long
like,
for
he
nothing.
actually was a therapist.
I was like, and in the end, like the girl, the love interest, gets into like a major accident, and she gets like amnesia, and like she doesn't know like who he is or whatever. The whole thing
Wow.
was just so underwhelming. Like it wasn't even like impactful.
Oh yes, amnesia is underwhelming. Well, actually, so you just brought up a point. So I want to do like a little to end this episode, just a fill in because we have all kinds of things going on.
Okay.
So first update, Goodreads covered that. Fun Instagram, yay, more interaction. Check. Second of all, Hallie just so kindly mentioned Colleen Hoover, and guess what book we're covering next week? Um, so we are going to be covering It Ends With Us. Now listen,
I
when I
swore to myself I would never read another Colleen Hoover.
now here's the thing, guys. I we had a lot of back and forth conversation about this. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I just feel like with all the hype with the movie going on right now, I just think it'd be beneficial for us to jump on that train. Like I just think it's nice. Like Abby Jimenez, everyone was reading it, and like it was nice to kind of like be in that conversation. So I think it would be good to do that with It Ends With Us. Similarly to how we're covering Fourth Wing, like a deep dive right before Ankh Storm comes out. Like,
Onks.
is it Onyx? Wait, the funny part is I knew I say it wrong, and I was like, oh, Onyx is the wrong one. And so I leaned heavy into Onks.
What is wrong with you? This bitch reads books. Onks.
The words in my head are not like real words. Okay,
That's
anyways,
crazy.
fuck you. I I think I over like
Ugh,
emphasized the
fake
wrong one because I
fan.
no, I really thought Onyx was the wrong one, so I was like, I need to really just say Unks, like really like commit. But that was the wrong one. Anyways, okay, whatever. So my point being is I think It Ends With Us is going to be beneficial. I also think that we could have, which you'll see next week, just a very real conversation about not even if with the movie because Hallie's not going to watch the movie.
Oh, brother, this guy
No,
stinks.
right.
Like a
But
flip-flop.
yeah, I got it. But I think we
Oh
could have
god.
a really impactful conversation about how they are doing their like um what's it called? Like when they're like advertising their movie.
Oh,
Like they're fucking like Blake Lively, basically, long story short, on her like media,
a
you
media
know.
tour. A
Yes, thank you.
tour.
That's
A
exactly what I
promotional
needed.
tour.
Correct. I think we could really, without Hallie watching the movie, talk about how the media tour is just completely losing the sense of the importance and the topics that were meant to be discussed. So I think we can just have a good conversation. So that's next week. It ends with us. So
Okay,
okay.
well, I have a problem with Colleen Hoover. I had a problem with Colleen Hoover after I read her first book, Verity, and then I really had a problem with her after Jamie made me read Ugly Love. So I hate her in regards to her writing, but then I also dislike her because
Oh
of
nope.
all that.
Save for next week
Okay, fine. But like
because
also I
that'll
haven't
apply to this book.
I know, which is crazy, but then like also too, I haven't been following like their tour thing coverage. I have no idea what's going on, but all I know is that Blake Lively's getting a lot of shit. That's all I know.
Yes, so we will chat about that next week. So next week's going to be a good episode, I think, all around. And Hallie, it's just entertaining to watch her be miserable. Okay, so that's the Goodreads update on our Instagram. New
Fucking another
feature.
probably 4 hours of my life I'll never get back.
Correct. We're reading It Ends With Us next week. And lastly, kind of a sad update. We will be switching after It Ends With Us to releasing every other Sunday. Hallie's a smarty
Yeah.
pants and is trying to get big degrees. And therefore she has no time for us.
Sorry.
So we're gonna do
School, man.
every
It's hard.
yeah, and so we don't want her to be stressed. And so we're
It's
doing
okay.
every other Sunday.
I don't think anyone's too upset, Jamie. You know, it's not like
They
we're
are.
fucking
They're writing letters as we speak.
yeah, okay.
But that being said, it's going to give us time to kind of revamp as far as like specific features we want released, specific days. We're also going to start making like a little animation. And so in time for the new year, we will have like set days for set features on our Instagram. We'll go back to every week. And we also will be publishing our full video with our recordings with a cute little animation for our intro and ending. So
Can you tell who's like the organized planner and who's just like here?
I'm like, yeah, it's like who's making moves to make the
Jamie's
podcast
like,
successful?
we're doing this, and we're doing this, and I'm like, okay, can't we just do this tomorrow? And you're like, and then we're gonna do this on this day, and I'm like, okay, sure,
So
Jamie,
really,
whatever you want.
Hallie's only directive is like read this fucking book and be ready to record next week. That's it. That's Hallie's directives.
Oh my god! If anyone would like to send me a copy of It Ends With Us, I refuse to give Colleen Hoover any of my money. So
So send Hallie the book.
please DM me on Instagram, and I will send you my address, and you can send me the book. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, and so
My pants
those
have
are
gnomes on
all.
them.
I am obsessed with them. Thank you for showing me that.
You're welcome.
Dare I say they're almost related to a troll.
They're cousins.
Right, they're cousins of trolls. Actually, Ryan's mom got us a gnome Mr. and Mrs. like dish towel because she like was like thought I liked gnomes, not trolls.
That's hilarious. That's actually really funny.
And I was like, no, it's trolls.
Wait, you know what's crazy? So I've like really picked up. I had been picking up like Hogwarts Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I was picking that up again. You gotta fight these fucking trolls. They don't die, bro. They're
Dude,
so
that game
tough
is
to
actually
kill.
hard as fuck. I stopped playing it because it's so hard. But once
It
I have the
is
man cave
hard.
done, back to video games for me.
Anyways, but yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Okay, well, those are our announcements that are exciting as far as the podcast is concerned. They're
Yes.
exciting to Hallie, too, because she has no idea what I'm talking about. It's news to her as well.
Surprise!
Right. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. I'm actually really excited for next week's episode, so I think it'll be entertaining at least.
I guess I'll just can't wait to fucking talk more shit about Coho.
It's going to be
That
entertaining,
bitch.
like you said, so.
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah, okay. Well, we will see you guys
Anyways.
next week for It Ends With Us.
We will see you there. Be there
Bye.
or be square.
Amen,
Bye.
brother. Bye.
Bye.